Thank you so much. And I also thank everyone that is present here to listen to my presentation. This presentation is part of my PhD thesis, and it is called Abraham Accord, the Accords before Abraham, which means that we are going to see how some normalization processes before the Abraham Accords are different from the Abraham Accords themselves. But first, we need to understand something, that is, Israel rarely at peace with Arab and or Muslim countries. On May 14, 1948, Israel was declared independent, and then there were wars waged against it, led by neighboring Arab states and financed by others like Saudi Arabia. However, there were several changes on the regional order. The first was with the establishment of the 1979 Islamic Republic of Iran. The Sunni Arab states started to perceive a Muslim country from another sect with a new identity as a threat, as it also wanted the hegemony on the region. More recently, the region changed once again, but from the other side of the Atlantic Ocean. The Obama administration launched the JCPOA, which allowed Iran to produce more uranium for nuclear purposes, and this was seen as a treacherous act for the Sunni Gulf monarchies and Israel. The Trump administration also changed the Middle East dynamics by recognizing Jerusalem as Israel's capital and by mediating the Abraham Accords. However, the Abraham Accords aren't a normalization moment isolated from the relations between Israel and Arab states, as I stated. There were two peace treaties celebrated with Israel, the 1979 peace treaty with Egypt and the 1994 peace treaty with Jordan. Therefore, the research question that I propose is how is the 2020 Abraham Accords an innovation comparing with the peace treaties that were celebrated between Israel and Egypt in 1979 and Jordan in 1994? To answer this question, I will use the theoretical framework proposed by Stephen Walt, which has two theories. The first is the theory of balance of threat that states that states react to an external threat by creating alliances. A threat is characterized by being a superior perceptive power, and after they perceive a threat, they can create two types of alliances. The first is bandwagoning, which is being part of a balance with the threat. And the one is balancing, which consists on allying to the status quo powers. The balancing can be negative if the alliance is only to balance against the threat, or positive if there are development of capabilities. These capabilities, if they are military, it is characterizing the balance as art, and if there are other capabilities developed, the balancing can be soft. However, to also perceive and characterize not only the threat but also the states, I am going to use a geopolitical and geostrategic analysis, which will be by Guido Fischers, which considers power to be assessed by three types: political, economic, and psychological. But to answer this research question, I will fulfill three different goals. The first will be to characterize the historical context, because, as we know, a treaty or an accord are responses to historical context, and then this context has characteristics that are unique and will influence the appearance of the treaty and its writing. So the peace treaties are understandable, a way to end the war that took place against Israel. I will only talk about two wars that are different from each other. The first one was the 6 Days War, which I believe that it's very important because Israel took control of the Golan Heights, the Gaza Strip, the Sinai Peninsula, the West Bank, and Jerusalem. And then the second conflict is the Yom Kippur War, which Israel managed to make the invaders retreat on a time that was a Jewish holiday. When we apply the theory of balance of threat to this historical context, we understand that the Arab and Muslim states understood Israel to be a revisionist state, as it was Jewish and had occupied the Palestinian territory. Therefore, Israel was seen as a threat. But when we apply the theory of balance and we see that Jordan felt unprotected against Israel and sought Egypt, the status quo power, they formed a negative balance against Israel. However, after 4 wars and realizing that Israel was the winner, it revealed that Israel also had more capabilities developed. As for the Abraham Accords, the context is completely different because there was never a war waged against the Gulf monarchies and Israel. And when we see that the main threat that these Gulf monarchies had for Israel was economic, as they were part of the boycott movement against the Jewish state. In February 2005, the King Hamad bin Isa Al Khalifa of Bahrain stated to American ambassador at Manama that there were contacts between Bahrain and Mossad. As for UAE, between 2010 and 2018, it tried to soft power foreign policy, talking about peace among Abrahamic religions to form a new Middle East. So, applying once again the theory of the balance of threat, we see that neither Bahrain nor the UAE felt threatened by Israel, as it is a small state far away geographically. But Iran is what they felt threatened about, as it was geographically near. It is a Shiite theocracy who wishes to export the revolution to the Shia who are oppressed by the Gulf monarchies, and these Gulf monarchies are friends of the USA, the great Satan. Therefore, they both saw Israel as a powerful and innovative state, representing the status quo who can help develop their capabilities to face Iran in every type of power. Therefore, a positive balancing was created. So let's now talk about the geopolitical and geostrategic context of each country. In 1979, Egypt had a strong national wealth with gas, oil, precious metals, and they had fertile soil near the Nile River. But these riches were all invested in defense. And also it created a socialist regime applied to the Arab countries, which caused the Egyptian economy to become stagnant and with no income from foreign investments. As for Jordan, its problems were threefold. It had populational problem as it received Palestinian refugees, and that's a strong populational pressure, and also felt threatened by the radical attacks that the Palestinians were carrying on. Also, with the wars, Jordan lost cultivation land and strategic depth, and also there were economical issues with the loss of land, but also with the oil embargo, which had impact on the Arab countries, which meant less foreign investment from the Arab countries. So when applying the theory of balance of threat to this context, we understand that after losing wars against Israel, the Jordan and Egypt saw Israel as a status quo state. Hence, by creating positive balance, status quo was preserved and both reaped beneficial consequences at the defense and economical levels. As for the geopolitical context of the Abraham Accords, it is completely different. Bahrain is a very important island. UAE, I'm sorry, I was carrying forward. UAE is located in the Middle East Shatr Belt, which means that even though the major ethnicity is Arab, there are diversity of tribes within each emirate, and also the major population is Sunni, but there is a Shia minority. Also, as it is in the juxtaposition of three continents, the parts are deep, which is as commercial trade, the topography is low, which is as land trade routes, and the coastal cities were always very, very populated, and they are defined by multiple races and ethnicities and the importation of foreign workforce. There are a lot of natural wealth, but scarce natural resources. To preserve tribal and historical identities, the different Emirates created a federation to promote coexistence. But the fact that there are natural wealth, and scarcity of natural resources can create competition between regional and external powers, creating instability to the political system. Two types of ideologies have tried. There's political Islam through Iran. Dubai and Sharjah have strong Shia minority, and these minorities can revolt against the governors, and the Muslim Brotherhood through Qatar, UAE's neighbor. As for Bahrain, it is, as I said, a very important small island. It is located in the middle of the Persian Gulf, and USA has headquarters there. But Iran also claims this island to be a 14th province. It is located on a rich oil region, but produces a sixth of the crude in the world. Bahrain is also a mostly Shiite country ruled by Sunni minority. As for Israel, there are two weaknesses and two strengths that are important for this paper. The first one is that Israel considers itself as an island country, as it is isolated from in the region. The majority of the population is not Jewish, and also it's increasingly westernized, which means that they don't know what being Jewish means now. And as we can see by the protests, it's something that is now being even more difficult. However, it has a very strong economy with a very strong tech sector, and it has strong dissuasion power, both from the Animud policy and from the conventional weaponry. So we can say that with the Abraham Accords, it is understandable that Israel isn't a threat to the Gulf and vice versa, as they are not geographically close, nor they were ever threatening. On the contrary, all the states understand that together their capabilities can be improved and can be used against a threat. And having applying the theory of balance, this is a net positive and negative balancing. Therefore, it is perceivable by applying the first theory that Iran is a major threat to all the Abraham Accords signatory states, as it is bigger, more populated, geographically close to the monarchies, and with its proxies to Israel, has strong military forces, and is clearly threatening, wanting to export its ideology, annex Bahrain, and eliminate Israel. Finally, as for the impacts, with the peace treaties, we understand that Israel and Egypt peace treaty is guided by the word respect. The content is filled with concerns about safety, trying to cease the extreme fighting and mutual annihilation. It predicts security based on reciprocity. Each country recognized the national interest of the other and balanced it with their own national interests. The Jordan Peace Treaty, however, was celebrated after 28 years with no war. Therefore, it emphasizes the terms of partnership, cooperation, as they had a better understanding of each other's needs and what each other understood as a threat. It is based on formal diplomatic relations, political, economic, social, cultural, and human interactions. Therefore, these treaties had two impacts: the establishment of peace with Israel by Arab Muslim states and determining what kind of peace one can have with another country. As for the Abraham Accords, it is different. It realized that pragmatic issues can be solved without considering ideology. It's the proof that peace can be celebrated with Israel without American intervention, even though they had the mediation of the USA. The context, as I have exposed, began before, very much before. Therefore, this is a culmination of several interactions over the last decades. The Abraham Accords might have been the start of a new regional order of a Middle East more intertwined economically, environmentally, socially. The Abraham Fund was created for its infrastructure and energy programs, and there was the creation of the Joint Statement on Women, Peace, and Diplomacy. Therefore, the Abraham Accords are changing the security geopolitics in the Middle East. Israel, with these accords, is near the Saudi Arabia. So, what can we conclude? That the there is an innovation between between the Abraham Accords and the peace treaties. The peace treaties have been instrumental in improving the peace established. Israel and Egypt are positive balancing. Jordan and Israel are positive soft balancing as national capabilities were developed. The Abraham Accords are not peace treaties, but as there was never war between Israel and Gulf monarchies, military capabilities are improving, which makes a positive hard balancing, but there has been cooperation on economics and social levels being a soft balancing. Therefore, the Abraham Accords are a positive hard and soft balancing. This was my presentation. I thank you for your attention and am ready to answer some questions.
Thank you very much.